Freddie, we're so excited to have COIL as one of our premier exhibitors at the Wellness Eternal Showplace in Valhalla, New York. Thank you so much for taking a couple of minutes to chat with us about your story. So tell us what COIL has done for you in your life.
Oh my goodness. So COIL, pulse electromagnetic field and frequency therapy. It was something that I so desperately needed a shift in what I was doing. At a very young age, I was diagnosed with testicular cancer. It had spread to all the lymph nodes in my belly. I had 9 tumors, a tumor surrounding the vena cava going to my heart, my left kidney. And, I had done all the standard of care. I had done all the chemotherapy. I had done 5 surgeries from 2006 to 2015. And I was left in this incredible amount of scar tissue in my belly. So constantly being rushed to the emergency room for these abdominal adhesions that were forming.
In your 20s. You were in your 20s.
I mean, this is 26 at 2006 all the way to 2015. So it wasn't a year experience. This is
9 years, almost a full decade.
Almost a full decade of being really, really compromised. And, nothing was working for the scar tissue, nothing. And out of desperation, I found COIL on YouTube. I saw the founders speaking about it. And I just got this hit inside. I pulled out my credit card. I didn't try it. I bought one.
Wow. That's a leap of faith.
It was a huge...
But that's also a spiritual inclination that you know.
Yeah. It was a deep knowing. I knew, and I felt good about it. And it's the most money I'd ever spent on health tech in my whole life. And I want to say in 2 months, I went from going to these bouts of being on the floor and vomiting 3 days every other week to it happening once or twice a year. It's a very quick turnaround. So the pulse electromagnetic really allows so much blood flow and circulation and energy to go to those tight areas of scar tissue which were restricting, and just they would release. It was absolute godsend for me. And then as you can imagine, when you're not in this critical fight or flight, that the body's starts to trust its safety, and you can eat more things. And on top of the metastatic cancer was really bad Lyme disease.
Oh my gosh, just to add insult to injury.
Had bought a home with black mold, which was another reason why I was so desperate, because all my fatigue and the really chronic symptoms had come back tenfold.
Oh my goodness.
So it was an absolute game changer for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
We have read a lot about Lyme's disease. So because we're in New York, we're surrounded by country clubs. You can't walk 10 feet without hitting a country club. I mean, we're constantly outside, and I check my kids for ticks all the time, but everybody I know has had some sort of Lyme scare or dealing with Lyme. And a lot of people now with turbo cancers and other things that are going on. So this is an important foundational product for us to have. I mean, obviously you took a massive leap of faith, but we've heard dozens, if not hundreds of stories of COIL users who have had a very similar transformative experience.
I feel like you're giving hope to a lot of people that think that that's a pretty much done deal when they're given these diagnoses. And a diagnosis is just, I like to say, a past vibration in manifestation. So just like you were aligned with it, you can get yourself unaligned with that type of disease. And I feel like this shifts you. So shift does happen when you're using COIL.
Yeah, it's great. I'd say it's kind of like people, we have these shared agreements that a bunch of guys looked up at the sky and said, that's Orion's belt. It's not really.
Right.
We created a story around that.
Right.
And as far as a disease paradigm, like MS or Parkinson's, there is no test for these. They're symptom sets.
Right.
And
autoimmune, which is what I had for many years. They're like, well, where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm like, what kind of diagnosis is that? That's not a diagnosis.
And I understand the brain or the body, especially in human beings, we want to reduce things down so then we can spot treat.
Correct.
And that's not what, COIL doesn't treat disease. It is helping the terrain, like your body's immune system, the lymphatic system, circulatory system. If we can regulate those, and especially the central nervous system, and bring that into a place where the body is auto-regulating, that's the thing for me. And so many people say this, they're like, I got on the COIL and I just felt safe, or I had this warmth and this deep inner knowing, and that was enough.
Yeah,
And their
it
body
is enough.
just needed proof to feel safe again.
Wow.
Yep.
And sometimes it is, and you can actually feel it though.
Yes.
I mean, there are
There's a magnetic
PEMF.
test
Yes.
that
Yes.
I'd love to be able to show when people are
Yeah.
on it.
You
that
can
they-
actually feel it when you're holding the
Yeah.
coil. I
Yes.
actually did it for the first time at Layla Centner's down
Yes.
in Brickell in Miami.
Yes.
And I really felt the difference afterwards.
Yes.
I felt superhuman,
Yeah.
but I felt the tingles
Yes.
in my hands
Yeah.
for
electrical
several
beings.
days afterwards. And honestly, because I've suffered from autoimmune for so many years, whenever I feel like I'm going back, because you go backwards.
Yeah.
You know, you go to a conference, you run yourself ragged, you talk to a million people, you expose yourself to other toxins and mold that's in hotels and other
Yes.
places. You can't avoid it entirely. You can't live your life
But
in a bubble.
you can mitigate it.
But I
Yeah.
can just go right back onto the amp coil. I can do a couple of sessions over the course of a week.
Yeah.
And at the end of the week, I feel superhuman again. It's amazing.
100%. What I tell people is like a lot of times, if you think about like pulse electromagnetic field, it's creating an electrical current that is run through a magnet and
Right.
generating this magnetic field throughout the body. That magnetism is encouraging recovery of that cell. So if you were to stack that with elite diet and an elite sleep hygiene protocol and really great hydration, it's not 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 equals
Right.
4. It's like 25. You're
Right.
going to get this amplified effect. So for me, it's part of the stack, which creates, this feeling of intense vibrancy. And even all the things that I mentioned, I run a podcast every week. I work with multiple companies. I travel all over the world. I feel I can do a backflip on a trampoline again.
That's amazing.
I mean, I'll never complain about what functionality I do or don't have. It's like always a blessing, and amp coil is a big part of that.
And you're
Gratitude.
building your foundation as well.
Yes.
So I always tell
Yeah.
the people that come in, whether it's a practitioner working with their
Right.
patients or whether
Yes.
it's the patients themselves who really are looking for healing, all of these modalities, especially amp coil, are building that foundation. So
Yeah.
when you
That's right.
get sick, you might feel like you're in the basement.
Yeah.
But when you have those daily practices, when you use the stack modalities
Yeah.
over and over and over again, you might get up to the 11th floor.
Yes.
And then if you do get sick again or you get exposed to something, you don't go back down to the basement. Maybe you go back down to like the 5th or 6th
Yeah.
floor. And then you can keep elevating from there. So it's really an amazing,
This is it's hard for the human psyche to have that internal view.
right.
Like, I'm not a great assessor of my day-to-day fluctuations in health, but I can tell you that it is commonly reflected to me from friends and family. They're like, what are you doing? You seem like you're so happy. You seem vibrant.
glowing. Yes.
And it's part of it. It is part of that paradigm shift. Yeah, it's really fascinating to see how over time. I mean, you can take it. What if you took two people? I mean, a high school class is a great example to look at.
Right.
Maybe someone who still drinks 30 beers a
Yeah.
week. They eat the standard American diet. They've never gone to the gym and they smoke.
Right.
And then you take somebody who's into the biohacking with red light and
Yeah.
hemp and
Right.
elite nutrition.
Grounding with EMF protection.
You
My
cannot
goodness.
deny that side-by-side comparison
You can't.
of vibrancy and life force. It's undeniable.
You can't.
Yeah.
And it's
Well, we're-
definitely alignment. It's definitely being in alignment to be able to attract a product like this, to be able to educate in the Wellness Eternal space that we have, a retail showplace where you can be able to try this device along with other things that are really going to be able to elevate your own health, your practice, your corporate wellness. Come check it out at Wellness Eternal. Amp Coil is an amazing device. We've all tried it and love it. And it really keeps us aligned.
Yes.
Because just life will get you off of that alignment.
Yeah.
And that where regular use can just be able to shift you back. It's almost like the rumble strip.
Yes.
As you start feeling that little bit of a rumble strip,
It's a great analogy.
back into that
Wake up,
highway of
people.
life.
Get
Yeah,
back, get back on the road.
Yeah.
We spend too much time
Yes,
together.
we do.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, we're so grateful for
Yes.
sharing your story and also
Yeah.
sharing Amp Coil with
Thank
the
you.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We feel so blessed to have this to share with others.
Yeah.
Yeah, I celebrate what you are both
Yeah.
creating. And what I love about it is the accessibility, because
Yeah.
if I always said if I had a magic wand, I'd be like, I would love everybody to have access to this, and people don't, and it is price restrictive for some human beings, and it's also, I will say with that, footnoting that it is a priority shift in what we spend our money on.
100%.
And it's so unconscious sometimes. I look at the cars that people drive and it sits in your driveway 98% of its life and you're paying this expensive lease. Would you go in with a community for some people and co-finance a device or a center in which there's
every doctor needs one of these in their medical practice. Every doctor needs one of these. Every wellness center, every spa, every gym, every country club, every corporation. You can afford it for your people. Your people are your greatest asset. Your clients, your patients, your employees, every single person needs this.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, it really, and I'd say it just works with the body's mechanisms of self-correction and healing. So we always run, especially in our culture, we look at getting sick as bad.
Yeah.
That is a tonifying, that is a workout for the body's immune system. This system is, again, we're not treating illness, we're fortifying the circulatory system, the energetic, the bioenergetic of the body, the central nervous system, detox pathways, which are helping to regulate the body. So it really is, it's strengthening in multiple layers when you understand what it is.
Yep.
Love it.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Freddie.
Yes.
So excited. We'll see you soon.
Yes, I can't wait. Congratulations.
Oh. Good bugs.
I love it.